Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here, joined as I was yesterday. Really fun show yesterday, Coach. I really enjoyed that, and then got to see the horse racing and then the beautiful Dodgers game. There was incredible action down on the farm, of which we're going to have a great Down on the Farm show today. Hey, man, super excited to bring you back in on Sunday. I know there's a lot going on Sunday morning, so no telling how big the crowd would be. But I was so fired up about the Dodgers beating the Yankees and the fun show yesterday, wanted to put another one together.
Yeah, man, exciting. It was great. I mean, I was going crazy watching it and seeing, just blasting them all game long. It was awesome, man. Not a better way to spend your Saturday evening than watching the Yankees lose.
Yeah, no doubt about that. How about Teein Hernandez out of free agency, a guy that you bring over because you hope that he could do exactly what he did this weekend? Talk about hiring somebody out of free agency that has dog in him, that goes into New York and just does exactly what he's doing. You can't say enough about him, right?
I mean, that's why he wanted to be a Dodger. He wanted to play in the big-time games, and he's, always come through in big-time games. And last night, I mean, a grand slam. I mean, putting that game out of reach, and it was great. It was great to see him, and I know that's why everybody loves him. I mean, he looks like he wants to be a Dodger forever, doesn't he?
He sure does, man, and I hope he is. And then we've seen James Outman kind of resurrect himself there in Oklahoma City. Andy Pages, who got another hit yesterday. Andy Pages has one of the best arms in all of baseball. We mentioned that if you could sign T.O. to, I think it would take it probably about 3 years to get him signed. That would be cool. I know D-Mac advocated for that yesterday as far as Dodgers Nations go. Hey, let's sign this dude. Let's get him locked down for the next 3 years. Then you got T.O., James, Andy. If you wanted to re-sign Hayward to a 1-year contract, you could platoon, all sorts of things to do. So I think right now, I mean, signs are you need to lock down T.O., not just because he hit a grand slam against New York, not just because he has 17 RBIs this weekend, but it's the culture part of it. He's just a cool dude. He enjoys playing, and he brings that dog element to the dugout.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. If you watch him, he's always talking to the guys. It seems like he's instructing, giving his advice. That's what you need on a winning team. You need guys like that are willing to step up, and seeing the younger guys look to him for mentorship. It's great.
It is. It was funny from a coach's perspective. About a month ago when Andy Pages first came up, there was that miscommunication between him and Miguel Vargas, and then Jason Hayward and Teein Hernandez got the two together. They talked about it. They said, hey, center fielder always has precedent over everything. So I thought it was really interesting last night when there was that ball hit to right center and T.O. was calling off Andy Pages, and Andy kept coming, right? And T.O. just kept yelling like, dude, I got it. I thought that was really cool of T.O. That was a cool moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see the way the outfield is coming together defensively. I know we've got to hit better with the outfield guys, but I like what we're doing defensively, and I think there's it just looks good. The vibe is great out there right now. I'm really excited.
All right, man. Dodgers win 11-3. Teein Hernandez absolutely teed off. Dodgers are now 41-25, 8-game lead in the NL West. Do you see any chance to where either the Padres, the D-backs, or the Giants cut into that 8-game lead at all?
I mean, I think it's baseball. I think they're going to cut into it a little bit, but I think the second half, the Dodgers are just going to keep pulling away and making it too difficult. That's just my feeling on it. The Padres, there's a couple teams won three games in a row now down there, and Dodgers are still 8 up. So I think little by little, the Dodgers are just going to keep putting pressure on people that constantly have to win, and I think that's just going to wear on you as the season goes down.
Yeah, just to kind of put that in perspective, let's say you take a 10-game stretch and the Dodgers go 5-5. Even if you go 10-0, right? I mean, you still haven't really put a big dent into that lead. So, I mean, it's, 8 games doesn't sound as much, but the fact that the Dodgers, I mean, they could, but they're not going to go on an 8-game losing streak, you wouldn't think. I mean, they have the toughest parts of their schedule in terms of travel, then also the teams they played. So that's a pretty insurmountable lead. Okay, so we mentioned the Dodgers needed somebody with that dog in them. Love Mookie Betts, but I think sometimes he I don't want to say he doesn't have the dog in him, but I think sometimes things are so easy for him that, it's just kind of the next game. So it's super exciting to see Teo Hernandez for him. Okay. And so what is it that some players, Coach, I wanted to ask you this because you have a high-level experience in sports. You've been at the highest levels. So some guys like Teo Hernandez are better in the bigger moments. Like you put them in the bigger venues to do great, and then you're likely to play like a Tuesday game and it'd be a blowout and he'd be like 0 for 5 just because they can't concentrate. What is it that some players are better in the bigger moments? What makes that happen?
If we could figure that out, you would have like the perfect dude, right? Like I had a guy on one of my former school teams that I coached that sometimes he coasted, but when we got to the national tournament, national semifinals, championship game, he started becoming this machine. The bigger the game, the bigger the moment for this kid. I think with baseball, it's with 162 games, sometimes you're right. I think they coast a little bit, and then all of a sudden, wham, we're in New York playing in this massive series, and these guys step up. I play a lot of Stratomatic baseball, and there's a thing on there called the clutch rating. I don't know how Stratomatic figures out clutch, but there are guys that when these bigger games come, it's just all of a sudden, it's like this is their moment to shine, and it's hard as a coach to figure that out, but it was great to see these guys step up in a big moment. And Teo seems like that guy. Bigger the moment, the bigger the stage, the better he's going to be.
I can tell you as a coach, kind of like with Yamamoto, we talked about this the other night. As a coach, whenever you see a guy be able to handle the big moment, you never forget that.
Yeah. It was great to see Gavin Stone last night do that. I mean, we talked about it on prior about what was he going to show us, and he showed us that he's ready. I mean, it didn't faze him, and he got into a little bit of trouble there, and he worked himself out of it all night long, and I thought he was great last night. So there's another guy, bigger the moment. Maybe Gavin Stone stepped up, and now we know we've got a guy like that.
Hey, guys, we want to remind you out there, we have a cram-packed show today. We're going to talk all about the two big victories for the Dodgers so far in New York. And then we have just an awesome Down on the Farm show. I don't mind saying that not because of me, but because of the people that are in it, the awesome action. We are going to cover my live video I got off of Bobby Miller from Bricktown Ballpark. It was directly behind home plate. Same with Kyle Hurd. So we're going to cover their two rehab outings from Friday night. We're going to talk about the massive home run from Chris Newell last night. Home run number 17. We're also going to talk about the electricity of Kendall George. He had just an absolutely electric night Friday night. We're also going to talk about 102 from Edgardo Enriquez, and I have it confirmed that was not the stadium gun. It is confirmed on TrackMan that Edgardo Enriquez hit 102 last night. We have all that coming to you on the Down on the Farm segment when Coach and I get done talking about this wonderful Dodgers victory. Coach, you mentioned Gavin Stone. Let's dive into him. Okay, so last year, he's had a sinker in the past, and then they ditched a sinker before last year, went to the four-seam changeup type deal, a few sliders, and he was kind of pinned into a box, right, to where if the four-seam changeup wasn't working, what do I do now? So then they sent him back down to Oklahoma City last year. They add the sinker, the right turn back into it. They add a slight left turn with the cutter. So now Gavin Stone, yes, he still has the high riding four seam, of which we saw him get Aaron Judge out. Yes, he has a tumbling changeup, the north-south arsenal. But what's great about him is now he also has an east-west arsenal. He has a right-turning sinker, a left-turning cutter. Sometimes his slider's a little smaller, too, that looks like a cutter. We saw that in the second inning yesterday. Yesterday, the second inning was the perfect example of the difference between Gavin Stone last year and Gavin Stone this year. He gives up the two early hits, so you have two on, nobody out, and you got the dudes coming up for the Yankees, right? You got Judge, Stanton, and Rizzo, and he's able to pitch Rizzo with the changeup more north and south, and then he's also able to pitch Stanton and Judge more east and west. So he was able to use his entire arsenal. He showed his entire bag, all the adjustments he made, and by the way, he executed. It was a thing of beauty by Gavin Stone.
Yeah, what was great about him is that, when he got the two runners on, you're sitting there thinking, okay, how is he going to respond to this? I mean, this thing could go really quick. the wrong way, or he's going to keep battling. And then you're right. He had the 3 studs coming up, and he like battled through that. And I'm like, that was the moment for me that saw Gavin Stone is ready for this, to get through that and to do what he did. And he was great. I mean, he was hitting his spots all night long. Stanton looked like he was completely lost with Gavin Stone, which I love to see. But yeah, what an outing for that kid. Just a great job by Gavin Stone all the way through. I loved it.
Coach, you have guys that can shoot free throws, and then you have guys that can shoot free throws in the last minute of the game, right?
Yeah.
Gavin Stone is that guy that you want on the free throw line with the game on the line. He has that kind of composure, that kind of confidence.
Yeah, he looked great. I mean, we forget that it was last year was when he gave up, 31 runs in 30 innings or whatever the crazy number was. And he stepped into Yankee Stadium. He looks like a bona fide top 3, top 4 starter in our rotation, regardless of who comes back. Like, you got to keep Gavin Stone in there. And I think, what did it say in the last 6, 7 games? He's got the best ERA in baseball in his last 6 or 7 starts. That's some good stuff right there. And if that's a guy that we have as our 3rd or 4th starter, man, lights out, huh?
I thought it was really cool. I follow him on social media. He follows Dodgers Daily, too. I've had a chance to interview him, I think, 2, maybe 3 times. Really cool dude, man, out of UCA. Originally the Jonesboro area, went to Riverside High School there in the Jonesboro area. Lake City, Arkansas, actually, is the actual name. Very similar kind of to Stillwater. So I kind of had a connection. I know exactly how that type of person grew up and operates. And then he went to UCA, which wasn't the bigger Division I school. He was a smaller type of guy. Most Division I guys told him he was too small. And one of the things that I asked him, I like to ask in the interviews, what is your message for kids that want to become like Gavin Stone? And this was back when he had just moved up to Double-A. He wasn't the Gavin Stone that we know now, right? He said, hey, man, don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't do it, and definitely don't let them tell you that you're too small. He's had that chip on his shoulder his entire life.
Yeah, and he just did an interview right before a Dodger home game, and they talked about, why weren't you recruited higher? And he talked about being really small, and basically said UCA was the perfect spot. I mean, he said he's got lifelong friends forever there. It was perfect situation for him. And my daughter and I actually watched him pitch down in Double-A. We loved him then. Yeah. I could not have. I'm not that good. I couldn't have predicted he was going to be like this. But he had that something about him like that not in a bad arrogance, but an arrogance of like, I'm going to get this thing done. I'm going to eventually be there. And we've been following him ever since. And that's why, like we were talking about yesterday, I was so excited to see what he was going to do. And the outing that he had was just awesome. It made my day because I love Gavin Stone. Yeah,
he's that kind of guy where it doesn't matter if you're playing marbles. It doesn't matter if it's Tuesday, Saturday, big crowd, small crowd. If there is any kind of competition to it, Gavin Stone's going to win because he's going to get competitive with it.
Yeah, and that's what you need from a guy. I mean, you need that type of guy. He's got a little bit of that fire that Walker Buehler had when Walker Buehler was coming up and younger. And it's that I love that arrogance from a guy on the mound. I mean, he walked into Yankee Stadium and said, I'm here. I'm one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. And he did it. It was great to see.
He walked in and said, I'm Gavin Stone, screw you. That's what he did yesterday. I love that mentality. But, hey, call it cocky, call it whatever you want. I think you could say he's cocky. I don't think that's an insult to say he's cocky because I think if you're the other team, you're sitting over there going, God dang, that guy's pissing me off, right?
Yeah. He has that look about him, man. I love the look. And what I really liked about it was when they took him out, he looked ticked off. Like, I could get this last guy. Like, you don't need to bring anybody in. Like, I love that about a guy on the mound, like the willingness to want to stay out there and fight through it. He was great.
Yeah, awesome. And that sixth inning mark for the starters is like magical for the Dodgers. Even if their starters give up like 3 or 4 runs, if they just go 6 innings and all the Dodgers have to do is cover 3 innings with their bullpen, it's like almost an automatic win. Hey, and we're going to start our comments today. We have already a great lobby logging in, Coach. I put it on social media that you'd be joining, so that must be why we have such a big crowd logging in so far. But hey, we are going to start with Elisheva. And Elisheva, I mentioned in our comments, we are not going to cover Hunter Fiducia today and are down on the farm. And that is because there were so many big names. I love Hunter Fiducia so much. Same with Gus Varlin and these guys. I wanted to wait till the Tuesday show. That way they don't get drowned out in the rest of all the big names, and we can highlight them the way that they need to be properly highlighted. Hunter Fiducia, by the way, has his average over 300 again. That dude has been so good for so long. I hope the Dodgers find him opportunities. But hey, Ela Shiva says we're going to start off with our A-game coach. Alex Vesia has turned into our best relief pitcher.
Listen, we talked about it on the last time we were on together. And I said, you were the guy pumping this guy up when people were saying, like, he can't do it. He's been lights out.
Yes.
Lights out. And last night, I mean, he came in there and, I mean, it was like unhittable, basically. And that's credit to you, because you were pumping this guy up and like no one wanted to listen to you. I remember seeing that tweet, and boy, he's been incredible.
That's one you hit send and you go, okay, getting ready to take some fire on that. You just start ducking, right? Oh well, I'll dig you in. That's fine. Hey, when I got faith in these guys, my faith doesn't fleet, right? Okay, hey, right. We have a great crowd logging in. William, good morning. Kenny Chung, One Eye Dragon. Thank you so much for joining. BC, Ela Shiba, we just read the first comment of the day. Hey, our wonderful moderator, Gregory, is in the house. Good morning to you as well. And so, hey, we have just a tremendous crowd. Already a lot of action. Norm Lee, good morning. Thank you so much for joining our chat. Ela Shiba says it looks like Pages is failing to communicate when he's in the outfield. Miguel Vargas did that. I would agree, too. Let me say this. Andy Pages is the right fielder. I know he lost the 25 or so pounds, but if you've ever seen Andy Pages throw the baseball like I have in person, ask Cody Hosey, by the way. That dude has not a cannon. He has a bazooka. So I think best case scenario for the future. So when I say that when you're a corner outfielder, you're not used to being the one that takes charge, right? You're used to being the one that's waiting on the center fielder to call you off. So it's a totally different dynamic. And then also when your outfielder is Tio Hernandez and you have so much respect for a guy like that, it's like you just don't want to screw up, right? So I totally agree with you, Ela Shiva. It looks like Andy Pages struggles to communicate at times. I think, one, he's a rookie. He's in New York. He's pressing. He doesn't want to screw up. So from that perspective, you're seeing that part of it too. Then also you're seeing that he's not comfortable being in center field, because that's not where he played a whole lot growing. He really didn't play a whole lot of center field at all until he lost the weight last year. Then he got hurt his first game in AAA. So he hasn't played very much center field at all compared to right field.
Yeah, and with even all that being said, he's still a stud in center.
Yes.
He tracks well. He gets to the ball. I mean, he's made one error, I think, maybe at Dodger Stadium where that ball kind of, or I forgot where it was, but he's pretty good. And the communication thing, that's only going to come with time. I mean, he's only, 30-some games in. Hasn't played much Major League Baseball in center field. So you were right on a lot of your points. I think he's only going to get better. Mm-hmm. And I think it's only going to help him when he moves back to a corner outfield position. He will. And that's just going to be more experience for him. So I'm okay with the lack. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not okay with it, but I think I understand it.
Yes.
For a rookie.
Yes. It's amazing how much difference that makes and just getting comfortable. Hey, Kenny Chung, this is a great point. Says some people think there's a friction between Pages and Tio. I'm glad this gets brought up because Andy's facial expressions kind of look like he's pissed or soured about something almost at all times. He kind of just has that look on his face. I'm telling you, I've been 3 feet from him and gone, oh, he's pissed about something. And then like he's laughing and I'm like, oh no, that's just him. That's just the way his facial expressions work. So if you see Andy Pages and he's communicating and it looks like he kind of has a sour look on his face or he's pissed about something, he 1,000% is not. That's just the way it looks to him. So people are 1,000% misrepresenting the tone of Andy Pages in those moments. I promise you that.
Yeah, I've watched him a lot live too, like when he was in Tulsa, and like he looks the same all the time. Like there's he has not changed his demeanor one bit, and I think he absolutely loves Tio.
100%, 1,000%.
You catch him in the dugout, they're always around each other. So that tells me I think they love each other. I think it's just the way they look. I think that's just his demeanor, but I've noticed that since AA baseball. So
yeah. So I mean, like here you have Tio that always has a smile on his face, Andy Pages who never smiles. So it just kind of gives you that contrasting look to it. And I think that's why people think that. I promise you 1,000% there is no friction between Tio and Andy. That's just his facial expressions, how he looks whenever, just at all times. And Coach just mentioned that as too. Okay, Tia, and also too, Tia Hernandez is exactly who Andy Pages wants to become, right? So this is a young player that I don't want to say intimidated. These guys are too good to be intimidated. But there's a certain, like whenever you're playing in minor leagues, you're playing with your peers. You're playing with guys that you're probably better than, right? I mean, Andy Pages is a dog. He's been the best player on every team he's played on. Then you come up to the major leagues. Now you got a guy that's, a guy that you want to become. That can be, I don't want to say intimidating is probably too big of a word, but it can be something to where, there's a lot of respect going on there, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're a rookie and you've got potentially, 4 Hall of Famers you're playing around with the batting order with Mookie, Freddie, Shohei, Will Smith, and then you've got Tio sitting off to the right of you in the outfield. That's not easy for a rookie. And Pages is 23?
Yeah.
That's a tough thing to be surrounded by all of that, and then you're trying to fit in. So that's what I see from it, and I think he's trying to every day prove that I belong here. So I think he's done a great job. I mean, he's done a great. Got a hit last night again. Walked in. I know it was against a positional player, but took the patience to walk in and get another run. I love what Pages is doing. But again, I am an admirer and a big time fan of Pages. So,
no, we all are, no doubt about that. Hey, Showtime LA, good morning, says, do we see the Dodgers going after Juan Soto? I would say a pretty heavy no on that. I don't think he fits kind of the Manny Machado type deal. Not that he's a bad dude, not that he's a cancer. I just don't think the look at me type of persona that Juan Soto has. If you need to know the look at me of him, just go back and watch the game and watch when they were trying to interview Garrett Cole, and Juan Soto interrupted it about every 2 seconds, like with a Gatorade bottle and a towel. And I mean, I could be misreading this, but it just looked like Garrett Cole's like, dude, man, just leave it alone. Let me finish this interview and move on, right? But Juan Soto wanted to be in front of the camera because he wasn't playing, right?
Okay, so I'm glad I wasn't the only one thinking that. I thought that was a little bit of like, why do you have to be involved in this or show that you're a funny guy in the dugout? Like it was odd. And going back to the thing, they talked about it last night, and I totally agree with Fox, is like Mets are going to outbid everybody if they want Soto. And I don't think the Dodgers need to get involved with Soto. I think there's just too much. There's other things the Dodgers need than Soto. I love his game. He's a stud. He's a superstar, but he's not a Dodger fit, and I don't think he's a Dodger fit financially, what the Mets and Yankees are going to be putting out for him. So I don't think Soto's in the equation at all.
I would much rather re-sign Tio than go get Soto and then keep Pages, and then you have James Outman.
Yeah, and they even mentioned last night you could put Shohei in the outfield too if you need to be, and that would be with his arm. So I don't think Soto's the answer. Sammy
Boy Smith, thank you so much for joining. BC Norm Lee, good evening or good morning to the chat. Stephen Richter, thank you so much for joining. Pages has more pop in his bat than let's see. All right, let me get back to this. Pages has more pop in his bat than Outman. I can see Pages getting 30 a year. Well, Outman is lucky to 20. Outman takes too many strikeouts for that kind of production. I think that's fair, but I would also say that Andy Pages has more pop in his bat than almost everybody. I don't think that's in any way, shape, or form a slight to James Outman, because I'll say this, I think James Outman has the ability, if he ever did hit 30 home runs, to also steal 30 bases. I think between the two and James Outman and Andy Pages, if you were to ask me which one would be the regular 2020 guy, I would say definitely that regular 2020 guy would be James Outman. So it depends on what criteria you want to use. James Outman squarely is a better defender than Andy Pages. I don't want to throw shade on Andy in any way, shape, or form, but James Outman gets a better jump on baseballs. He's better around the wall. He covers left and right better. He definitely covers straight back better. He covers straight in better. So he's definitely a better defender, although he doesn't have the Andy Pages arm. And also he's a better base stealer, probably a better overall base runner. I think James Outman could consistently be a 2020 guy, whereas Andy Pages would be like, a 25-10 guy. Both great players.
Yeah, there's not much for me to add. You hit everything I would have covered with Outman. I think I'm a big believer in Outman in center. I think just watching him live here lately in Oklahoma City, He is incredible jump on the ball when the ball's off the bat, which is something I haven't seen from a center fielder in person in a long time. But it's a good thing to have Pages and Outman together. That's not a bad thing. And if Outman doesn't have as much pop, that's okay. He's going to get on and steal bases. He's great patrolling center field. So I like that problem, trying to compare the two, and I like having both of them.
I'll say this, though. I don't know that Andy Pages actually does have more pop than James Outman, because I've seen James hit home runs that were just monstrous. And then also, don't forget that home run he hit in Baltimore, the opposite field last year, that nobody had ever hit before, ever in the major leagues. That was quite a bit of pop that he showed right there. And I'll also say, I don't think it's a good idea. I've kind of heard this started. It's just not a good idea to start pitting one Dodger against the other, especially when they're young guys. They're both great players. I will say this. They both have the potential to be great players. Let's just embrace both of them and hope they both become great Dodgers, right?
Yeah, that's where, I've never even thought about comparing the two. I just like that we have both of them. I like the problem of having them, trying to figure out how to use them. I've never really thought about comparing them until just now, and I'm with you. I don't think we should compare. They're two different type of players in some ways, and I like that. You don't want to have, two of the same type out there, and I love Outman and Pages. I'm looking forward to that partnership.
Yeah, Norm Lee says, Hernandez over Soto, are you drunk? Absolutely not. I think that's proving it out. T.O.'s a better fit in the dugout. He's a better defender. He's been more clutch. He's been exactly more what the Dodgers need than I think Soto would have been. So, Norm, I will vehemently disagree with you on your are you drunk thing. I know you're trying to be funny, but actually I think you're wrong. So, there you go. So, if you think that's funny, then take that for what it's worth. Okay, so let's continue on with our chat. Kenny Chung, Mookie and Shohei continue to be on the side of a milk carton. Ohtani swings are so head-scratching. He's definitely in a prolonged slump. Kenny, this is a great point. Okay, early in the season, I felt like Shohei Ohtani was pressing a little bit when his first couple of bats in a Dodgers uniform, and he got a little bit too pull-heavy. I know Craig Osterberg mentioned that, and then all of a sudden he started hitting balls the opposite field gap, and he got out of it. I think it's the exact opposite this time. They mentioned on the broadcast yesterday he has a new club in his bag, that Ichiro club, where he kind of tries to slap that thing to left field. I think he's getting too slap-heavy right now. And, hey, hitting the baseball is so hard that if you add any extra elements to it of difficulty, like moving your head or moving your whole body like the Ichiro swing does, that makes it a lot harder. So I think he's kind of in Ichiro mode a little bit too much right now.
So here's my thought. They might be slumping, but they're still hitting over 310.
Yes.
They're still top 10 in every category just about in baseball. And baseball, you're going to go through slumps. I think sometimes as fans, because we have these Hall of Fame type guys and superstars, that we expect them to hit 350 every single year. And maybe Shohei's getting a little slap happy, but that was a beautiful RBI to the left field yesterday. Clutch hit. Mookie's going to be Mookie. He's hitting 310 right now. Yeah, and he's still 2 for 27 or something, whatever the slump he's in. But I'd rather have Mookie and Shohei slumping than having other guys, and that's just how I look at it. And eventually, it's all gonna average back out. And that's why baseball is a beautiful game. You get these superstars that go through these slumps, but we expect so much of them. But I think they'll be fine. I really believe they'll be okay.
Ela Shiva says Glasnow is an incredible pitcher, so I'm not sure why it makes sense for odds to be in the favor of the Yankees today. Hey, I've said this a couple times, Coach, that with some of your older guys like Freddie and then, Mookie, you have him for a long-term deal. Okay, you're going to have to find creative ways, especially with this long road trip the Dodgers have been on, to get them days off and get them rest. We saw Freddie Freeman have the day off, and then the Dodgers not play and basically have 2 days off. And he came back and had, 3 or 4 hits that next game because he was fresh, right? Okay, so is this the perfect day? You've already won the series with the Yankees. Your road trip is over. You have the day off tomorrow. Really, what do you have a comfortable lead in the division. What are you playing for today, right? Is today the perfect day to find rest for these guys and give them 2 days off in a row?
Yes, but then we're going to have everybody question Dave Roberts on why he did it if they lose today. Maybe the odds are in the favor, right? But maybe the odds are in the favor today with the Yankees because the Dodgers have given Glasnow no run support in his last 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Freddie having a day off, like sometimes when you watch him around the base, it looks like he's laboring a little bit, like he's worn out. Like, yeah, today would be a great day for Freddie. Or DH, like let Shohei sit down, DH somebody. Let Miggy Rowe play short today. Lux at second. I don't know. Kike at first. There's a lot of different options you can do, but I'm kind of with you. Like the days of playing 162 games every single year, it's kind of like that's not there anymore. To give Freddie 5 days off during the year and he plays 157 some games, that's still pretty good to me.
Yeah. Glasnow needs to file for an APB for no run support. APB on some runs, right? Hey, by the way, Shohei Ohtani, 200 in his last 7 games, 203 in his last 15 games. So for Shohei Ohtani, who isn't human, right? For a 15-game stretch of only hitting 203, it's like, what in the heck's going on, right? Sometimes this game of baseball, no matter how good you are, it reminds us that these guys are actually humans, right?
I mean, you're a Hall of Famer if you hit 3 out of 10 every time, right? It's 300. Yeah. So there's going to be these slumps. And I think it's hard as a fan. You fight it to like, man, we have these superstars and you expect something every single time and it's just not going to happen.
What do you expect from the Dodgers today? Do you expect a Dodgers team that's like, hey, we've won the first 2, we're good, come out lethargic, with the day off tomorrow, starting to look forward to the day off tomorrow? Or do you see a Dodgers team come out with that killer instinct? So imagine this is a 5-game series, right? And you say, well, we get to go back to L.A. and finish it off in L.A., but you don't want to do that with a dangerous team. Do you see the Dodgers with the killer instinct today, or do you see them kind of have that? We've seen the Dodgers from time to time on this road trip kind of say, you know what, hey, it's just another 162. Which way do we go here today?
I'm going to go with what my gut tells me. They're going to come out ready to go. You've got Glasnow coming. It's the Yankees. I think Dodgers have heard too much about the Phillies and the Yankees being the best teams in baseball. It's still a national telecast with ESPN tonight, right? I can see the Dodgers coming out, playing all their guys, looking to sweep this series and put people on notice a little bit. I think the Dodgers have we kind of talk about this, coasting along against some of these teams, but then the Yankees pop up. I could see them coming out tonight. That's what I hope. I'd love to see what the lineup looks like when they announce it finally, but yeah, I hope the Dodgers come out and go for the sweep.
You know what I think helps is that it is Sunday Night Baseball. I think if this was just your random 2:00 afternoon game, you kind of hide that in the box score and move on to tomorrow. But knowing it's Sunday Night Baseball, that makes it a lot harder just to punt this game, doesn't it? Not that you're punting. That's kind of the wrong way to put it. But hey, playing the big picture, I think is a better way to put that.
Yeah. Normally you're going to see Barnes play for Will Smith today on this type of day to give Will that extra 2 days. I really want to see what the lineup is. I think the lineup is going to tell you a lot what it is. And for Freeman to say, I don't want to play on national TV on a Sunday night in New York and Mookie, I just don't see that happening. But I would really like the Dodgers to put their foot down and sweep. I know we've won the series, but I want to see a sweep.
I would too. I think the mental message of dominance would be more valuable than 1 day's rest. I'm in that boat, and I'm in the big picture boat. I've said it many times. I think Freddie Freeman needs to be okay with the Dodgers giving him days off, because I think that makes him better. I think Mookie Betts needs to be okay with taking days off of shortstop and maybe Shohei Ohtani even out of the DH, and definitely will. Hey, Dodgers fans need to, every time Austin Barnes plays, it's like, well, we're not trying to win, blah, blah, blah. So, you know what we are trying to win? We're trying to win a freaking World Series, right? And to do that, you can't play your catcher 162 games, right? So I am all about playing the big picture with the rest and making sure guys are peaking at the end of the season and not worn out like we've seen in the past. I think JT was worn out a couple of years ago. I think Mookie Betts was worn down last year, but today is not that day. Let's go kick the Yankees' ass with our dude on the bump, right?
Yeah, and maybe I'm the only one. I don't know if you are too, but I like when I see Austin Barnes behind the plate. The pitchers seem to really respect him. He calls a great game. Sure, he doesn't hit, but tell me what backup catcher right now in baseball is hitting as a backup catcher. I think we've got a great advantage with Barnes defensively. But yeah, I loved it. I cannot wait to see what Roberts puts out there tonight. I think the Dodgers are going for the kill shot.
Let's back up, Coach. What was the number one most impressive thing about Gavin Stone to you last night?
His demeanor.
Yeah.
The stage wasn't it was just a normal game for him, and he dominated. I was a big thing for me was like, what was he going to look like? Was he going to be this deer in headlights? Oh my gosh, national TV, Yankees, and he didn't look that way. He looked like he belonged and like he wanted to be a mainstay in this pitching staff. And you know what? A mainstay, he might be one of our best guys right now.
Yeah. 100%. And it would just be, to finish off the weekend to say, okay, boys, here's our dude. So, let's say Tyler Glasnow goes out and just completely shoves, and then the Dodgers hit, and you walk out of there and you go, that's our dude right there. You can't hit him, right? So when the playoffs come around, good luck because you ain't beating the Dodgers. I just think you have that opportunity today. Again, you don't want to make too much out of it because it is – when it comes down to it, it is 1 on 162. But we talk about all the time. Coach, you break down games. You break down games into different increments of the game. Whenever you're talking in a huddle, you're not talking about the entire 40 minutes, right? You say, hey, this next 2 minutes, let's cut off 3 points here. Next 5. That's how you do a schedule over 162 too. You don't. If you look at the whole 162, you get overwhelmed. But then you go, hey guys, let's take these next 3 games and let's try to do this. And you make a goal for those 3 games. And then you reset a new goal for another short period of games. I really think that this is one of those to where you need to just set the goal. I don't give a crap what happens on Tuesday night. I don't even know who the Dodgers play, but I want to win today.
Right. I find it funny, these big league guys, they say, oh, it's just another game. These are the games, maybe playing Colorado is just another series, but these guys are professionals and they know what's at stake. I think they circle a Yankees series as I think the Yankees circle a Dodgers series. I think these are the ones where 162 is a long marathon. I think these are the ones that kind of re-energize you back in these 3-game series. And it's it's different than we're going to so-and-so. This is the Yankees, and I think the Yankees feel the same way. And I think this is the one we can worry about our day off tomorrow and figure it out. But I think the Dodgers have circled this series. I really have. And I think when you look at it, you talk about the schedule breakdown, this is one they've circled. I don't care what they say to the media. They've circled this one.
Want to remind you that we have a wonderful Down on the Farm show to you coming. It's right around 30 minutes, so you'll need to hang in, but it'll be worth your time because we cover Bobby Miller. I've got live video from the Bricktown Ballpark of him, Kyle Hurt, have video of the Chris Newell, just absolute massive bomb last night, and also going to play the call from John Vicari, one of the play-by-play voices of the Great Lakes, who does a wonderful job. We're also going to cover Kendall George and his totally electric night he had on Friday night. So after we get done talking about the Dodgers with you wonderful Dodgers dogs out there, please stick around and check out these young guys because they deserve the access that we give him here and the coverage that we give him here because they are wonderful and they are the future of the Dodgers, Coach. So is there anything on the farm? I know you get to sit in the Oklahoma City press box basically anytime you want because you work for the Oklahoma City Baseball Club doing the pitch clock. Anything strike you over the weekend as far as down the farm?
Well, again, didn't we just have another grand slam by one of our guys in Oklahoma City?
Yeah, we did. Andre Lipsius. We're covering him today, too. I have live video of Andre Lipsius' grand slam, by the way.
There you go. I'm really looking forward to I finally, my daughter and I have figured it out. Friday night, we'll be in Tulsa watching Tulsa play. I'm excited to watch them live. I haven't been there. It's been about a full year now since I've been there to watch them. Man, it looks like the place is going to be packed too. I tried to get my tickets and there was hardly any seats available for Friday night.
Roanoke does a great job. It's not like Oklahoma City. They pack it out on the weekends.
Yeah, it's a whole different vibe too in Tulsa, which is kind of cool. I'm looking forward to watching Tulsa. I've been really watching a lot of the Quakes games. I love the MILB package that you can get, and you can stay up to date on all that stuff. But I really am looking forward to seeing rushing play in person, seeing Dalton rushing.
Absolutely. Hey, Coach, back to the Dodgers. Let me ask you this. We have a comment that the Phillies and some of these other great teams don't platoon. Are you a fan of the platoon system? Do you think it hurt, like, for instance, do you think it has helped any of the guys that were in the platoon this year?
I'm neither here nor there. I think each organization is different, and I think that's how the Dodgers are built to platoon. All right. I mean, you've got Kike playing third. Kike, by the way, I mean, where's all the people who want to talk about my man Kike last night? That barehanded play at third was spectacular. Goes yard opposite Oppo Taco, as they say on the Dodgers broadcast. Chris Taylor gets a hit. Looks great in left field, right? I'm okay with it. Each organization is different, and I'm not here to. I have no say in what each organization should do. If the Dodgers do it, I'm great with it.
I'll say this about a platoon. I don't think necessarily on the field it is always advantageous. I think where a platoon is the most effective is in the clubhouse because it defines roles. Everybody, instead of like Chris Taylor showing up every day going, I have no idea when I'm playing next, right? And just literally like we are right now with today's lineup, just waiting to see what the lineup is. Everybody already knows what every line. They don't know maybe what part of the order they're going to hit in, but Chris Taylor already knows when he's going to play. Austin Barnes already knows when he's going to play. Same with Kike Hernandez, even when Max Muncy is healthy. So you have to field 13 position players, right? And so it's best if all 13 position players know their role, they're happy with their role, and they buy into the culture that you always talk about with Dave Roberts that you love the most, that the players love, that allow them to perform at their best. So I think the platoon, I'm not a fan of it for on-the-field results, but I am a fan of it over the marathon of 162 because I think it helps your culture.
Yeah, it's different. You look back in the mid-'80s or 80s, those you never saw like that. I mean, Darryl Thomas, like there's a name that he played multiple positions for the Dodgers, but it wasn't really a lot of platoon system back then. You knew who everybody was, right? Third, short. You knew who those guys were going to be. I mean, Yeager and Socha every now and then behind the plate. But no, I think what the Dodgers are doing, they just have that great chemistry. And you're right. Dave Roberts has told these guys who's playing when. The Dodgers lineup's already been set for today. We just don't know it yet. Yes. But you're right. Platooning's difficult, but the Dodgers' roles are so defined. I don't think there's any confusion with what's going on at all with the Dodgers. Right.
So do you like it for the playoffs? I mean, hey, it's one thing to say Will Smith needs a day off. It's another thing to say Chris Taylor needs at bat so we can see if we can get him out of a slump. It's one thing to say that in June. It's a whole other deal to say it in October, right?
I'm always going to play your studs when the studs are needed, I'm not going to platoon in playoff baseball. If there's any argument there, that would be it. You play your studs, and that's what you've been built for is for the playoffs. Play your studs. You live and die with your studs.
Eddie Sutton every November. Oh, we're 12 deep this year. My gosh, we're going to play. We're going to have 7 guys coming off the bench, and the first game of March Madness, Coach. 5 freaking guys would play every single time.
Yeah. Right.
It was hilarious just to go to exactly what you're talking about. Hey, Coach, we're going to go to the Down on the Farm segment. Want to remind everybody just how much exciting action we have. Bobby Miller, Kyle Hurt, Andre Lipsius, who's been tearing it up. We also are going to cover Alex Freeland, who has been simply fantastic. Edgardo Enriquez, who hit 102. Lucas Webb, by the way, hit 97 last night. Chris Newell hit a tank that never even came onto the screen. That's how far he hit it as far as the video feed. And then also Kendall George. This is a loaded Down on the Farm show. So, Coach, any final thoughts?
No, just like we've got the best farm system. This is the best podcast. Got the best fans. We won the series in New York. Let's go get that sweep.
Coach, I wanted to say this in front of everybody else. You have been a massive addition to Dodgers Daily. You grew up in the L.A. area, which is exactly what I needed because I've grown up a Dodgers fan, but still I didn't grow up in the L.A. area. So, you don't have that vibe like born into you. Does that make sense? You bring that to the show. So, hey, I want to thank you so much for joining this show and adding so much to Dodgers Daily. This has been great.
Well, listen, I was born a Dodger. Thank goodness I wasn't born an Angel fan. My parents were diehard Dodger fans. My dad saw Koufax throw out in left field all the time. So my dad went as a kid. I grew up a Dodger fan. I love the Dodgers. And this just is an even better thing for me to come on here and talk Dodger baseball with you and all these great people that follow us. So thank you for having me. I've been having a time of my life.
Okay, Coach, I want to thank you again for coming on and remind all the fans stick around because, hey, let's not waste more time. Let's get right to it, and let's take a trip down the farm. So we're going to start our Down on the Farm segment as we do every time, and that would be with the single A Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. Check this out. Hey, there is a routine ball in between the third baseman and shortstop. Now watch this. A slow roller to the third baseman. He does not stop. He doesn't slow down. Scores from second base on a slow roller to the third baseman after he had beaten out a ball that was hit to the shortstop. Now he bunts for a base hit. This is the TrackMan data at 102. If you remember Ronaldo Yean, when he hit 104 before I really went just kind of crazy about it, I verified that it was the TrackMan data first. Yes, 102 on the TrackMan for Edgardo Enriquez, 90-mile-an-hour slider. And I'll tell you what, man, Cedar Rapids, Rain Don Cohn, who's with this Cedar Rapids team, they just simply had no chance. And by the way, Edgardo Enriquez threw 2 innings, and he had 5 strikeouts in those 2 innings. And he just simply put, just completely outmatched Cedar Rapids. It was no contest. When he throws like that, the hitters just don't have a chance because he is absolutely dirty. This is a guy, Edgardo Enriquez, that has not been healthy the last 2 years. He busted onto the scene in the spring breakout game, and everybody's like, oh, dang, who's this guy, right? And he has just continued to excel. Got moved up a couple of weeks ago from Rancho to Great Lakes and just continues to continue on. That is Tyrone Lorenzo catching behind the plate. Look at Lorenzo. Lorenzo is pumped. He's like, let's go, baby. That is Edgardo Enriquez. Moving now to the Double-A level. Hey, yes, Dalton Rushing, as he normally does, had a couple of hits in the doubleheader on Friday. Alex Freeland continued to mash. But who I wanted to show you here, Damon Keith. He is finally healthy. He has not been in the lineup all year. He is finally back, and guess what? He made a splash his first game back with a 2-hit game. How about that, Damon Keith? Actually messaged with him and said, hey, man, can't wait to see you in Tulsa. Hope to make it this week sometime. When I come, I'd love to talk to you. He said, absolutely, brother. So hopefully when I go over to Tulsa, I'm going to get a chance to talk to and interview Damon Keith, who's super excited about it. I know we did kind of a little mini feature over the summer. Who might be the next James Outman? Of course, that was off season before James Outman got optioned, and he was finished third for the Rookie of the Year, and he was, one of those up and coming type situations for the Dodgers. So the question was, who might be one of the next James Outmans? We mentioned the 2 guys. Okay, the left-handed version would be Chris Newell. That absolutely has happened. And then this guy, Damon Keith, who has just a world of power, good arm, and by the way, last year with a Great Lakes team that has Jake Vogel on it, I believe, I think you can quote me on this, he was the second fastest, as far as foot speed goes, guy on the team. So when you have a guy in Damon Keith that has the eye-hand coordination he has with the type of power, I'm telling you, man, his exit velos are like Tyrone Lorenzo. Now, I know he didn't hit that ball very hard, but when Damon Keith hits the ball, he really hits the ball. So he has big-time exit velos, which means if he can just kind of figure out how to get the ball in the air, he's going to hit a ton of home runs. At least he should. He has a chance at consistency because his eye-hand coordination is very good, and he is a great, great athlete. I mean, it is just, it's James Outman all over again from the right side in terms of tools. Now, we'll see how he develops. James, if you look at his batting averages and the way that he dominated, had better statistics at this point in his career than Damon Keith has. But as far as just the overall raw tools, young man out of Cal Baptist, couldn't be more excited to get Damon Keith back in the fold. Going to get to go see him in Double-A Tulsa. Super excited about it. Another guy we haven't talked about a whole lot this year because, to be quite honest with you, for the last year and whatever the start of this year has been, it's been a little bit of a rough patch for B-Lou, my man, Brandon Lewis, the young man out of the L.A. area, went JUCO out of high school to L.A. Pierce, and then ended up at UC Cal Irvine. right there. You can see that's City Hall in Amarillo. I've actually parked there before, and if to your left there across the street is the library. So really cool place. They call it Hodgetown there in downtown Amarillo. That is an absolute bomb for Brandon Lewis. I'll tell you what, man, this is the best that Brandon Lewis has ever looked since 2021 when he is with Great Lakes and hitting the ball. Matter of fact, that's a lot to say, because in 2021, Brandon Lewis led the entire organization, just barely beat out our man Andy Pages for the most amount of home runs per at bat. He hit a home run on average every 14 at bats in 2021. Then again, like I said, the last couple of years have been a little bit of a struggle, and right now he looks as good. Matter of fact, I messaged him just the other day about how good his swing looks, and he said, yeah, I'm getting back to some of the fundamentals that I felt in the past, and it feels really good. Another one of those really simple swings. He stays inside the ball really well. Not a whole lot that can go wrong with that. There is him at slot, and again, when I say slot, I mean that's when you slot your back elbow. As soon as you slot your back elbow, if that's the exact same time that you take your barrel flat and it's to the back of the zone, again, that's going to give you a long hitting window, plus the most amount of forward momentum to get to the baseball as you can get. And that is the best of all worlds. And that's why you can do this right here, which is hit gigantic home runs and then also ringing doubles off the center field wall. So, hey, wanted to show you Brandon Lewis. Remind you, this guy is super talented. He's a big guy. For soft hands, I kind of relate him to a Bob Horner type of player. Now, I'm not saying he's going to become Bob Horner, but that type of player with soft hands around the bag, can play third base, can play some first base. So just wanted to bring you back in touch with B-Lou, Brandon Lewis. So it wouldn't be a Dodgers Daily down on the farm if we didn't have an Alex Freeland segment, right? This dude is just simply amazing. Hey, we say it all the time. We try to cover everybody. If you earn it, you get it. But it's okay if we continue like Kendall George. We've covered him a million times. That's okay. He's earned it, right? Alex Freeland just absolutely has earned it. 3 hits in the doubleheader on Friday night. Had doubles from both sides of the plate. So like I talk about with Tyrone Lorenzo, this isn't a guy that just hits right-handed just because. Right there is his right-handed double. This is a guy that can hit both right-handed and left-handed very legitimately. So Alex Freeland, a young man that is just absolutely raking the baseball. 3 hits in the doubleheader on Friday night. Doubles from both sides of the plate. He has hits in 3 games in a row. 8 out of his last 9, 12 of 14, and 18 of his last 21. By the way, this was actually after the Friday night games. Hitting .323, OPS .1036, 7 home runs, 36 RBIs. This dude, Alex Freeland, has been mashing all year. I can't wait to see him in person. All right, let's move up to AAA. Let's get to the fun stuff. This is the man, Bobby Miller right here. He was back and he was in action in front of a packed crowd. It was Armed Forces Night at the Bricktown Ballpark in Oklahoma City. This is video I got from directly behind home plate of Bobby Miller. Super excited about that. His first pitch of the night was 97. He reached, as far as I could see, as high as 98. So Bobby Miller looked really good. He gave up a couple of blue hits in the second inning, so hey, don't really even pay attention to as far as the results and all that kind of stuff, because like I always say, hey, you're worried about getting fields back, you're worried about just getting on the bump. You probably don't even know who the opponents are that you're facing, and then also sometimes there's some bad luck that he ran to in the second inning. But hey, through 6 pitches, slider looked good, fastball was 98, composure was good. It was a really humid night, so it was tough to grip the baseball. And as you see right there, that's just an absolute dart from Bobby Miller. So, yeah, very exciting that he's back. Very exciting he's back in the fold. The Oklahoma City Baseball Club, they actually extended him further than I thought they would. I think he went 4 innings on the night. Don't quote me on that. I didn't actually look at his final line. I wasn't even worried about any of those types of results. But he did have a pretty lengthy outing. So, hey, I think he's probably going to have maybe a couple more. I don't have any information on it, but I would guess a couple of more rehab outings. And the Dodgers are going to have some difficult decisions to make because they have a lot of pitchers pitching well right now. So it's good to see Bobby Miller back in the fold. This is Kyle Hurt right here. Good action from the bullpen. Kyle Hurt was back in action on Friday night. Got to take video of him. Got to see his bullpen work and all of his preparation. Here is him from a close-up. two different good pitches there. Again, it was very humid. And then here is the video from behind home plate. That is an absolute dart. He was throwing 97 miles an hour. And what I like about him is he turns that kind of his back pocket to the hitter where everything disappears right there. And it makes it very, very difficult to pick up the baseball. And it just shoots out of his hand like a slingshot. I had not seen Kyle pitch in person for almost a year. I had forgotten just how electric he is, just the electricity that it creates whenever the ball comes out of his hand. So, man, Kyle Hurt, he's a guy who's thrown a 91-mile slider in the past. We've seen him get outs at the major league level. I keep hearing that the Dodgers need to go get a bullpen piece, but then I keep seeing guys like Yohan Ramirez, Anthony Bonda, Alex Vesia, Michael Grove just to continue to get better. Let's watch that one again. And then I also keep just remembering that, hey, Kyle Hurt's coming back, and then also Clayton Kershaw's coming back, maybe Dustin May, all these guys. Plus, you still have Landon Knack. So every time I hear that the Dodgers need to add another arm or a bullpen piece, I just keep thinking that they already are going to have like 5 difficult decisions as far as, you know, who to add to the roster when everybody gets healthy and everybody gets back. So we'll see how that goes. But the Dodgers have a lot of great in-house options right now, one of them being Kyle Hurt. Andre Lipsius, this is a full at bat for him from directly behind home plate. I'm sitting in the same seat here as I was when I took that video of Bobby Miller. Somebody please inform him. That's actually home run number 16 on Saturday. Nope, that's foul ball. He almost hit home run number 16 right there. But this is from Friday night, home run number 16 that you're getting ready to see here in a minute. And then Saturday night, he hit home run number 17 right there. Wow. And that leads the PCL. He's at the top of the leaderboard in the PCL in many different categories. At the very top of home runs, he's hitting, I believe, 317. If that's not the exact number, it's somewhere around that number, somewhere around 317. His OPS is well over 1,000. 17 home runs, leads the PCL. He can play third base. He can play second base. He can play right field. He's played the outfield in the past. I just don't see any reason why this guy right here, and let's watch that again, Andre Lipsius, who came over from the Detroit Tigers, and by the way, his Tennessee Vols are in a dogfight in the Super Regionals. Asked him about that. He absolutely loves Coach Vitello and the culture he brought over there to Tennessee. But, yeah, came over on the Tigers, added a little bit of adjustments to his swing to get the ball in the air, and boy, has it worked. 17 home runs, again, leads the PCL league. Somebody needs to inform this guy that human beings are not supposed to hit AAA pitching like it's beer league softball, because squarely that's what he's doing right now. I mean, he is just otherworldly as far as the way he's hitting. And as a matter of fact, the way that Alex Friedman put it was a great call on his home run Saturday night, which would be last night, his home run number 17. As he came back in the dugout, Alex Friedman said, "This guy is out of this world." He certainly is, Andre Lipsius. So I was excited to see Kevin Gowdy. Let me see that. Let me back that up. Watch just the knees and elbows. This is a very tough pitch to pick up, and it's a very tough pitch to identify. See how he hides that pitch? It's like the ball's right on top of you right there. That's a good slider, too. And that two-seam has a lot of move. Look, that's about a 95-mile-an-hour fastball with that kind of cut to it. That two-seam, sometimes it cuts, sometimes it fades, or as you said, I guess you could say, tails to the arm side. But see that cut right there? 94, 95, 96 on that cut with that herky-jerky. And look at that the tumble on that slider there. Very good pitch to the righty. That's a really, really nice pitch. See how he adds depth sometimes? Sometimes it has a little bit more just sideways movement to it. Kevin Gowdy in person, I'll tell you what, I've seen him 4 or 5, maybe 6 times now, dating back to last year at Tulsa since he came over from the Rangers last year. Him and Ricky Vanasco both. Could not be more impressed with what I saw with my own eyes. Hey, the numbers, typically speaking, have been good since about last July when he moved from the two-seam to from the four-seam to the two-seam. He's that spin rate guy that's just kind of on the barrier, you know, that 2,300 spin rate barrier, 2,300 above his four-seam, below his two-seam. He's right there in the middle. So to heck with it. Let's just go exclusively two-seam. Let's throw it 94 to 96. Let's move the ball, let's miss barrels, and then let's pair that with a really nice slider that he can add depth to and also horizontal movement. So, hey, I really, really liked what I saw with Kevin Gowdy. I kept thinking if I was a hitter, I would be very uncomfortable right now, and that's a pretty good compliment to give Kevin Gowdy. You knew I was excited to get to see my man, the Maytag, Jack Dreyer, in person. Got to see his dad pitch. This was a cool moment for me. 1996-ish, don't exactly quote me on the year. Back before this beautiful stadium, the Bricktown Ballpark, was built, about 3 miles west at the State Fairgrounds of Oklahoma was the Fairgrounds Park. They called it All Sports Stadium because it was ran by the All Sports Association in Oklahoma City. I got to see his dad, Steve Dreyer, pitch on that Oklahoma City 89ers team that won the PCL. That was the last team in Oklahoma City, PCL team, that had won the PCL championship until last year. So fast forward to 2024. Now I get to see his son, Jack Dreyer, pitch in the 25-year-old Bricktown Ballpark, which to me, if you ask me, Bricktown, it's like they built it yesterday, right? So just the flashbacks of being at All Sports Stadium, the hill, the dot races, the Dippin' Dots, all the first experiences that I had in the game of baseball. I got to be in the dugout when Oklahoma City was the Phillies, and the Phillies came and played an exhibition game. My dad umpired it, and I got to be in the dugout and the clubhouse. Got to talk to Pete Rose for like 45 minutes. Matter of fact, Tug McGraw is on that team, and my first dog I owned as an adult, a black lab, I named him Tug after Tug McGraw because Tug McGraw was the nicest guy ever, and he just went out of his way to be nice to me. I was like 10 years old at the time. Mike Schmidt and all those guys. So yeah, got to experience all those first moments with All Sports Stadium. So to get to see Jack Dreyer pitch at the Bricktown Ballpark, after just having memories seeming like it was yesterday, seeing his dad, Steve Dreyer, pitch at All Sports Stadium, that was a really cool moment for me, kind of nostalgic. Plus, Jack Dreyer is pretty kick-ass in and of himself. He was 94-95 on his fastball. 1 1/3 inning scoreless. ERA for the Maytag, 109, whip down to 0.81. He's getting to be almost as good at baseball as he is at chess and putting together a Rubik's Cube. So there you have it. There is our Down on the Farm segment. Hope you enjoyed it. Bobby Miller, Kyle Hurt, Chris Newell, Edgardo Enrico has hit 102. I always say Engardo. That's not, I know his name's Edgardo, but it's more of a pronunciation thing. Kenny George, Jack Dreyer, the Maytag, talking about his dad getting to pitch in the mid-90s and winning that PCL championship. Hey, going to hang around for a minute or two. The entire crowd stayed around. As a matter of fact, we added for the Down on the Farm segment, so I cannot be more excited for the fact that people are enjoying the prospect coverage part of this show as well. So if you have a couple of questions, going to hang around for a minute or two, not that long. Would love to answer any questions. When asked what he thought of AstroTurf, Tug McGraw said, I don't know. I don't know. I have smoked it. That is hilarious. Tug McGraw is awesome. I can remember that day like it was yesterday. Pete Rose, by the way, it was a 9-inning exhibition game. He played the entire game, and the Daily Oklahoman interviewed him after the game and said, well, it's exhibition. Why'd you play the whole game? He said, well, people paid to see me play. I owe it to them to play every game, all 9 innings. And he did, and he hustled just like it was the World Series. I'll never forget it. It was like it was yesterday. Then the next year, the Double-A team in Tulsa was, I believe they were the Rangers, and so got to see Buddy Bell and hang out in the dugout with one of them. Hey, Sammy Boy Smith, which one of our farm hitters has the potential at having the best career? Okay, so that's a really good question. I would say right now, top end, the guy that has impressed me the most, and I started all the way back last year, even when he was swinging and missing way too much, I would say the guy right now would be Alex Freeland. I think he can play shortstop. I think he can play third base. He's a switch hitter. He stole over 30 bases, so he's a great athlete, and he has massive power potential. When he hits home runs, they go a long ways. And so I think Alex Freeland could be a guy that could have a good batting average, have really good slug, well over 800, hit a decent amount of home runs, and steal 30 bases. I think he could easily be a 20-20 guy, fringe 30-30 guy. So that is a great question, Sammy Boy Smith. I really appreciate the question there. So, hey, I think that's going to do it for us today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been a whole lot of fun. I want to thank Coach Barrakoff. I just messaged him while we were on the Down the Farm, told him how great of a job he did. His analysis is great, guys. And if you like it, make sure and leave a comment, not in the chat here, but in the regular comment. Talk about how great of a job Coach Barrakoff did. I want to make sure that he understands how good of a job he did. Steven Richter, we have another comment. Kershaw will be part of the six-man rotation, then move to the bullpen for the playoffs. I've been saying that for quite a while. I think James Paxton's a candidate for that if he can figure out how to throw enough strikes and be effective. Buenos dias. Viva Fernando Valenzuela. Viva los Dodgers. Yes, I love it. I love it, Luis Ponce. Thank you so much for that comment. And with that, I think we're going to end, and we're going to take off and have a wonderful afternoon. A lot of great action in the minor leagues down the farm, and then the Dodgers and Yankees, Game 3 and Sunday Night Baseball tonight. So thank you so much to the best baseball crowd in the world, all you Dodgers dogs, as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. And so until next time, go Dodgers.